Okay, so I'm running a bunch of stuff because you'll see. Hi everyone, I'm Solon. I run Rainy Day Let's Play. I'm a professional Let's Player. Hi there.
Hi.
And I'm going to talk today about Let's Playing. You guys are the Critical Game Studies 101 class at University of Washington. I'm also recording this on this laptop. Thank you, James, for helping me with that. And we're also recording audio. Thank you to Terry for helping with that. But I'm going to talk about Let's Play, this weird-ass new media phenomena. So to start off, I'm going to explain a little bit about what I do. There we go. Stay there. Everything good? Everything good. This is what I do. This is Rainy Day Let's Play. This is the channel that I run on YouTube.com. It is youtube.com/Critsplosion, or to be easier, it's bit.ly/Rainy Day Let's Play. And as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of screenshots of a bunch of different games. Basically, what I do is I engage myself in a bunch of different worlds for the entertainment of others. So I've got everything ranging from AAA titles like Borderlands 2 to strange, occult, tiny, weird games like Off and Hate Plus. We have indie darlings like Starbound. What else do we have? Eccentricities like Sonic 06 on the far right. Dr. Eggman is kind of hanging out, creeping over places all over the banner and stuff. And I have many, many more. I make tons of videos every single day, and it's a bizarre, weird thing. None of this should exist. This is ridiculous. This is stupid that any of this actually exists. Because we live in a world where play is seen as something frivolous. And so for someone to actually want to engage in watching someone play sounds dumb. There's no reason this should exist at all. This is ridiculous that Let's Playing even exists as a medium, and yet it does, and it does to such an extent that it makes you go like, why? Why are so many people watching people play video games? And it's probably one of the most, I think it's one of the most important questions, and it engages with a lot of different things societally that like is the core of our constructs. And that's why I'm really excited that you guys all get to make your own Let's Plays. And it's not going to be some kind of like revolution like what I do on my Patreon. It's called RDLP Revolution. This is my way of actually monetizing my work in a way that YouTube will not allow because they're a terrible corporation. But it's a revolution in that we're actually, because of how I curate content, I think that it's something that's worth money. And so currently, that's actually a little outdated now. Currently, as of 2 weeks ago, I had 20 people donating for $220 a month. This is very important to me as a creator, as an artist, to be able to be transparent about how much I make, but I try to show this to everyone to be like, this is what it means to be a professional Let's Player. It is not something that I can live on, but it's something I'm going to damn well try, and I'm going to hustle my ass off to try to grow that out in a very, very serious way. So this is a medium that shouldn't exist, and I want to talk about what is a Let's Play. This is something, we've been talking about this for like 2 weeks, and some people out here are like, what the hell is this even talking about? What the hell is a Let's Play? Let's Play is any kind of publicly shared game experience. I have this really simple diagram to explain that the three core parts of a Let's Play is you have a game, you have the player who's playing the game, and you have their audience. Every single Let's Play that exists and could possibly ever exist has those three parts. And there's a little bit of wiggle room, but the main idea is that I will play a game, and then I will share that play with a perceived audience. Whether it is a Let's Play that is made in video, whether it's a Let's Play that's based on screenshots, whether it is a broadcast of a stream that someone is playing a game and they're sharing that play with a perceived audience, that is a Let's Play, at least in my opinion. And I think this is a broad definition to allow for a lot of different innovations that can come out of this. And that's why I'm really excited to have a class to explore that idea on what a Let's Play could possibly be. And so, to give you guys a little bit of history on what this whole Let's Play thing is, I had you guys look at a couple different videos, and I want to make sure that we've all seen the first one. This is Jim Munroe's My Trip to Liberty City. This is essentially the first contemporary Let's Play. Let me do some muting here. Do some Something there.
Does it say the date on there? No.
This is 2005. 2003. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, this is just some of the video from my trip to Liberty City. Yeah, I'd heard so much about the place. It was written up in newspaper after newspaper. It's the place where the game Grand Theft Auto 3 is set. I actually had a pretty good experience the first day. I ran into a little bit of work. A fella gave me some money just to drop a girlfriend of his. The next day I show up and he had a kind of more dubious kind of mission for me.
Go and introduce a bat to his face. Then take his car, respray it. I want compensation for this insult.
You know, I just didn't feel like it. I mean, it was a great day. It was beautiful out. The sun was shining, and I don't even play baseball, much less, want to kill someone with a baseball bat, So, I felt like maybe I'd sort of misled him because I was kind of, I look like a thug. The default player skin is a thug, so I decided to change into something that was like a little bit more reflective. This is the Canadian tourist skin we made, and has the big grin and a camera, and there's a lot of talk about all the cars in Grand Theft Auto and all this kind of thing, but I never feel like, getting into a car is the best way to see a city. I feel like if you really want to see it, then you should just, walk around and get to know it a little bit on foot. Like, for instance, here I found this little nook in an alley. I just went down the alley on a hunch, and sure enough, there was a stairwell there, and you can see it leads right up to this beautiful rooftop. It's something I never would have found in a car, And rooftops have a special place in my heart, and obviously the game designers' hearts as well, because they put a lot of effort into making it, it's kind of a tribute, I feel, to urban spaces. A lot of things in Grand Theft Auto, including this rooftop. But, I got a good sort of view of my neighborhood here, and looked down the way, and I noticed that there was a big patch of trees, which is something I never expected in a video game about the city. So I decided to try to find my way to this park or whatever it was.
What up, yo?
My radar, of course, was telling me, which way to go to find the guy to kill him with a baseball bat. But, as I said, this was such a beautiful day. It just seemed silly to go kill someone.
What's up?
So I just asked a bunch of people, I guess, in the neighborhood, and just to try to find out where it was. This guy here had a bit of an attitude. I was really polite and everything, but he was just kind of, but there's jerks everywhere. It's certainly not isolated to Liberty City. It's, it happens all over the world. Yeah, it was just great to get away from the city, the hustle and bustle, and just hang out in the trees. Going down to the waterfront was really nice. It's a side of Grand Theft Auto I don't think a lot of people, take the time to enjoy. It's a kind of more sort of underrated kind of attraction, I guess, of the place. I guess I was like too enthusiastic when I was going down to the water, because I was trying to get a closer look, and I just sort of fell in. And one of the things that isn't so great about the place is that I ended up being hospitalized from the fall in the water, and it cost me about $1,000. Coming from Canada where we have socialized medicine, I was pretty down, and then naturally it started, pouring rain, as you can see, and I was just like looking for a taxi to get back to my my little apartment that I rented, and I was trying to get, trying to get into the taxi here, and yeah, as you can see, he just, I guess maybe he had another fare, or I was bolting for this one. I was so sure, you know, like I was exhausted, and he was smiling at me, but then he just took off too, and I really got hit by a car. And boy, I mean, it isn't much, this apartment. It certainly looked a lot nicer in the internet sort of listing, but I was really glad to get home, boy, I tell you that. The next day, I just, you know, I decided to try to recoup some of the losses and go down to the corner and busk a little. I have this little routine, a little miming routine I do, and I brought the skin with me, so so I just decided to change into it and you know, get it on. I do a little something called the attack mime, which I think is it's kind of a funny, kind of new, fresh take. It's kind of extreme miming, I guess. You can see I kind of mimic but soundlessly you know, the movements of the tough guy, or the fighter, the street fighter, and just pretend to. But unfortunately, I actually hit that guy there. Sometimes people don't get it, and they just move, and they zig when they should zag, and someone gets hurt. But this guy is sort of enjoying it. He's a little bit confused, but I think he's enjoying it. Then, actually, this ended up taking a lot of the attention away. This poor unfortunate was hurt really badly. So I had another skin for the occasion. It sort of was more suitable than the attack mime. It's the street priest skin that I put on. I just felt like it was appropriate to try to, you know, kind of clear the crowd a little. There's a lot of rubberneckers, and I noticed a whole bunch of money around. I guess that's why they were there. And well, I mean, I picked up some of it too, just, you know, because of the hospital costs and stuff. I guess I just felt like I was, you know, so I ended up just pretty much being the only person there. Everyone else left, and I was giving them the last rites. But then I heard the siren, and you know, I had the money, and I felt like, you know, I might look the wrong way, so I decided just to take off, and that's when I left Liberty City.
All right, so that was Jim Monroe's. That is kind of the first historical setting that we have for the contemporary Let's Play, and you can completely see that we have someone who is playing a game for a perceived audience. There's a lot of performance involved. There's a lot of acting involved, both not only in what he says in his commentary, but also how he plays the game, ways that he'll shake the controller around and move the camera and move the body in certain ways, changing through skins. And so the idea was that Jim Monroe he's an artist in Toronto, I believe, and he put together kind of a new media form of performance, and he wanted to perform a game. And so that's kind of the play that we've seen develop over the last decade or so, a little over a decade now. And so that didn't get carried over directly to Something Awful's forums, where they kind of started their birth in a completely different zone, completely away from this Art Nouveau kind of feel that Jim Monroe's creating. They make these screenshot Let's Plays where they have their play, they've taken screenshots of it, and they write things about their play as it goes down, and people will read the story as it slides down the page. And then that evolved into, hey, if we're making all these screenshots, why don't we just record it and just shoot the shit on the couch and have our friends over, and our friends is now the entire internet. That's where Slow Beef's The Immortal comes from. Despite that they are similar media, they actually don't have any kind of relation directly at all, which is kind of a cool thing, where it's like this two-pronged approach to a development of an entire media. But then after that, we start getting more beautiful, more drawn out, more contemporary feelings, just new advances, I guess, in a medium. With Ben Abraham's Permanent Death is a... what is this? There we go. Thank you for helping me. I'll make sure you do that because.
Yeah, I can do it.
So this is Ben Abraham's Permanent Death, and this was you guys should have seen it. It's a collection of images that creates an entire run of Far Cry 2, and it's very high gloss, almost like a National Geographic or type magazine, where he's kind of exploring this whole game and writing about his exploration there. His exploration happens to be a permanent death run of Far Cry 2, and so that play that's involved turns into what's essentially an entire book. And so that's what that is. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's 300. It's like a novel. It's
Yeah. 320 pages or so.
Somewhere on there.
And all of them are just, huh? Oh, perfect. 391, and it's just high-res screenshots. 391 high-res screenshots with text overlaid, depicting an entire run of Far Cry 2, with the rules that he added of being that if he dies ever, that runs over. So at the end of 391 pages, you find out whether or not he actually survived. What was that?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Is this the one where you can contract malaria?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that might be something he has to avoid, is contracting malaria as part of the game. And so that's what you see as part of the play. I have a couple other things on here, but I don't think I want to. I think I just want to show Zolani's just a little bit. This is Zolani's play of Perfect Dark.
There we go. Okay. So let me turn down the music slightly. There we go. That should be okay. So Perfect Dark is a really, really interesting shooter. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite shooters. And in my opinion, it's actually better than a lot of other first-person shooters. It's really good, and it's also really different. And it does things that first-person shooters don't really do anymore. It had a really different focus. That's actually really abnormal and weird. And I guess you can sort of find those in other sort of PS2 era rare games, but for the most part, Perfect Dark is pretty unique. And it does a lot of cool stuff. So it's probably just be one episode where I can go through every level or so. But
Why the big hurry?
If Dr. Carroll is not extracted tonight, Datadyne will put him through.
Perfect Dark has some really good cutscenes in it. I'm actually pretty surprised.
Are they all expendable?
I mean, it does a pretty good job of making the place feel filled. Especially in something like the Nintendo 64. Also, it does. What's cool is that it actually does the GoldenEye thing, where it sort of zooms into the back of your head. So it's actually a pretty good device. It's a great way to sort of blend the cutscene into the play. It's really nice. It's really dramatic. You see Joanna, she comes down, and they do that really cool thing where they just kind of like zoom into the back of their head. That's just a really cool thing. It's really neat. So this first part of the level, so Perfect Dark usually does a really good job with its sort of skyboxes and textures, but the first level wasn't very good. If you look out there, you can kind of see like the sky. I can shoot it actually. Oops. Let me take a moment to change my controller here. There we go. Okay, yeah, so you can see I can kind of shoot the textures, so it's not very good. I can also shoot the buildings too, so it doesn't do a very good job kind of hiding it around, which is a shame. But it gets a lot better over later on. This first level is kind of weird, but that's really okay. And this level is mostly spent indoors anyway, so it's usually fine. What I like about this level a lot, let me get that. What I like about this level a lot is that it does start outside and it gets inside and it gets slowly deeper. like, I don't know, Perfect Dark is a weird shooter because it doesn't really emphasize shooting all that much. Shooting things is pretty easy. It's not a very difficult thing to do, and it's really straightforward, and by doing that it sort of emphasizes everything else. Right? Perfect Dark is a lot more about just kind of walking through and sort of traversing these really weird, interesting interiors than it is actually about shooting. It's like it really is like a corridor shooter in those literal form, and you just like walk through corridors, and it sort of emphasizes the corridor. It emphasizes these really interesting, complex interiors, and it's really, really interesting. It also has a lot of empty space, a lot of weird, like useless empty space like this. Like there's stuff like this. There are rooms like here. Like there's no computer or there's no use to it. It's just this weird part, and I guess we're gonna see a lot of these weird empty spaces that are just kind of there. But I actually like them. You can shoot the window too, but you can't fall out, unfortunately. That would have been really cool. It's just it makes everything feel so fake, but that's okay. It gets a lot better later on. Takes a little while for the elevator to come. I actually kind of like that too. One thing about Perfect Dark emphasizing the interior that I really like is that these are just really normal places. I feel like this is a really, really great place to start the game as a whole. This is nice too, actually, because it gives a really great sense of height. It makes a place feel a lot bigger than it probably actually is, which is a pretty cool thing to do. Yeah, it's very straightforward. Yeah, I mean, I've written about shooting before, and how games that focus a lot on target practice end up kind of sort of choking out any other parts of the game. Wow, really? Is everyone dead? All right. Oh, there's more. There it is. I feel like I want to at least kill everyone out before I head on. There are a few other things I want to note too before I go, because that was really short. One of the things to notice is that by emphasizing the interior, right, so it makes these places feel like they're independent, that they act and move independently. So there are places in Perfect Dark where you can't go. There are a lot of locked doors. Like this, for example, is a locked door. Like you just can't go through here. And then it shows a street, which tells us that this is the front part of the building. Like this is like the secretary's area and stuff, and you know, this is where you kind of come out. And there's no parking lot or anything, so it's not the best. It's not the best way to sort of, but it sort of suggests that there's an outside to it. And I feel like having locked doors, places that you can go, show something that these places are complex, and they have their own reasons for existing that sort of extend beyond what I as a player want to do. And makes them really cool. Also, like I'm gonna be going through this a lot, but Perfect Dark has some really complex architectures. Some very, very complex and dramatic architectures that emphasize angles, as you see. These places are very angular, lots of angular ceilings that come down, and a lot of very sort of complex and weird subversions and sequences of dense spaces and open spaces that I'm going to emphasize later on in further Let's Plays. But yeah, like this, like it's a lot of really cool stuff. And the thing too is that I guess sort of why like the shooting's so easy and you can just kind of walk around these cool places, because it's just really cool to kind of walk around and sort of survey. I always felt like that was sort of the main point of Perfect Dark. It really is the way it brings home its own futurism, its own, I guess, near futurism in a sense. It's weird too, because it's on the N64, but I find this stuff a lot more interesting than a game like Deus Ex and such. Is he supposed to come out?
So that's important, and I think that's actually a really important Let's Play. Basically, Zolani is playing Perfect Dark and live playing it while he's talking about it. But his designed goal with that Let's Play is to look and analyze space. He's like, this is a weird place that we're in with a gun, and it just kind of happens to be with a gun. And so while he's pointing his gun at things and making things fall over, it's kind of humorous that the people fall over funny and say weird things before they die. But his main goal is to critically analyze the spaces that are in Perfect Dark, because he found that it was weird that there were so many empty spaces. He was like, why are these here? And why did they work so hard to make this like brutalist structure if they're not going to put anything in it? And what is anything? And so that's kind of what he's going through while he's playing Perfect Dark. And so I thought that was a very interesting way to kind of look at critically let's playing a game. Let's return to full screen. So why would anyone actually watch this? This is probably the most important question, and I think it's probably the most important reason to look at Let's Plays critically as a medium. But there's something extremely human about Let's Plays. It puts people together in a way that a lot of other media tries to separate people. There's a lot of other media that puts intermediaries between one person and the person who creates the content, essentially. And so Let's Plays, by their very nature, by its being let's and playing together, all of us, is a very intimate relationship between a player, a game, and their audience. With all the examples that we saw, and hopefully all the examples that you guys got to look at on the links, there's a lot of different ways that people were able to relate with each other, whether that's over entertainment, whether that's over analysis, whether that's over just even playing a game. That idea of sharing your couch with someone else is super important. And that's kind of what Let's Plays create, is not necessarily this kind of like one-directional, you will laugh at what I say because I have created it, but it's a kind of a conversational space. And so, yeah, Let's Plays are just really strange like that and kind of beautiful. You had a question?
On that note, would you consider walkthroughs without commentary Let's Plays?
Walkthroughs without commentary Let's Plays is a really awesome question, and I want to answer that at the end, because I think there's a lot of value in that, and then we could talk about that more. Make sure to catch me on that. So with that kind of empathetic relationship that you create, every time that you screw up a game, you're just a huge fuck up, and everyone gets to watch it, they identify with that. They're like, yeah, we saw you. You screwed that up. You really fucked it up. This game doesn't even work anymore. And they understand, and you understand. So you've kind of created this relationship between the audience and the player and the game itself. The game itself is like, I don't even know how we got here, but we did, and now it's recorded. Same with if you succeed. If you win, if you find a successful adventure, or if you just make a point that you're like really proud of, everyone can kind of follow along that point while you're playing. You can see during Zolani's kind of video, during his video, he is in the middle of shooting bad guys while trying to look at the space. These things contrast very starkly. But you can watch that. You can be like, yeah, there's some people that just popped out. They're like, hello, and he had to like take care of them real quick before he get back to his point. And you followed along with that. That is empathetic play experiences that we're all sharing together. And so I think that as a medium is a very important and revolutionary phenomena. And I call it a phenomena because, again, like we talked about in the first week, these kinds of things shouldn't exist. There's no reason in the kind of society that we live in today that so undervalues art and expression that we would want to share play experiences, something so frivolous, something so out of left field, something that absolutely cannot be productive in a workforce, that this still exists and it becomes so popular. So to talk about, to kind of base everything in the contemporary Let's Play ecosystem, what's going on right now in 2014, basically YouTube is God. YouTube is where all Let's Plays are housed. If they're not housed in YouTube, in their infrastructure, it'll be somewhere like the Let's Play Archive, which is, or the Internet Archive, excuse me, where they house Let's Plays for archival purposes, not necessarily for viewing purposes. Sorry, no, the laptop's right in your way. Or they are on alternative sources of YouTube trying to do the same thing as YouTube. And because YouTube and its subsidiaries and things like it, competitors, etc., are the things hosting Let's Plays, it's almost entirely about entertainment and is pandering to the audiences which can perpetuate the most ad revenue. And ad revenue is generated when someone fully watches one ad. And when someone fully watches one ad, that is usually someone in a comatose state. they're not watching, obviously, because if they hit the skip button, there's no ad revenue there. YouTube. But Let's Plays actually happen to fit that circumstance because you are watching multiple videos in succession, multiple long-form videos in succession. And so that accidentally, kind of purposely, springboarded people with long-form content as opposed to short viral videos to a #1 spot, to PewDiePie being the top most subscribed to person, despite him having over 15-minute videos constantly.
Make that point even more. I mean, it's not just that he's the top Let's Play channel.
No, he's the top subscribed on all of YouTube. The entire infrastructure of YouTube is now centered around gameplay, video gameplay, in this bizarre way, to the point to where they had, over the last 5 or so years, created multi-channel networks to eat up as many of these kinds of people who make this content as possible. And so you have channels that are actually gobbling up thousands and thousands of content creators, like an oil rig drilling and destroying all of the ecosystem around it, basically for that ad revenue. And that ad revenue is people just continually like keeping Let's Plays on in the background, going to sleep, and having these things play overnight. And that happened to be what generates ad revenue. And then on top of that, it is also people who have the time and the energy to not click away from these kinds of videos. So it becomes a lot of young kids is the thing that YouTube usually panders to as a soulless, demonic engine of creation. Definitely not valuing like what content is created, just who's watching ads. And so it's very interesting. It's very personable. And so there's basically becomes this idea of content. When you're a content creator, there's content based on accessibility and hype. So it's going to be the newest stuff. It's going to be the most accessible stuff, which means you now have Steam as your main engine for all Let's Plays, new AAA games, new indie games that have the most hype generated to them. And when all of those things come together with what YouTube wants and what people are going to watch a lot of, it turns into this idea of indie impressions, and that's become the kind of newest wave of Let's Playing in the contemporary Let's Play ecosystem, where you're going to watch, or the person who's creating it needs to gobble up as many new indie or AAA games that they can get their hands on quickly. And so they're going to play the first half hour of a bunch of games in succession, upload those to YouTube, and then people are going to watch an entire playlist of all of these different games in order to see if they want to buy those games. And so it almost obsoletes the review system, because mostly reviews are about what are you going to get when you play this game. Well, they can just watch that. And the Let's Play turns into this new kind of thing about that kind of ends up hanging off of review culture, where the indie impression now, instead of being a Let's Play about the game as a whole, it is about, will you buy this in 30 minutes or less? And so it's kind of a bizarre thing. That's where we have grown out to right now in 2014. Whether that's something that I think is productive or not, I don't think it's necessarily the most playful. I think it's very structured and not very helpful in the long term. But for the short term, because Let's Playing and because YouTube is obviously such a hustle, like I've been showing, you got to do what you got to do. And a lot of these big Let's Players who have the resources and time to access new games constantly, they got to do what they got to do, and they've got to churn through as many big indie AAA things that could spark immediately. They need to hit those as quickly as possible, and so that's kind of what the Let's Play system has become. So after all that, all the history, all the current contemporary place that we're in right now, what a Let's Play is, I want to show you guys how to make one. And this is as easy as it can get. What the 3 links that I have on this slide will do pretty much anything that you need for Let's Playing in the contemporary form, without getting too experimental, which is totally fine. Please do. But these are just 3 simple, fast, easy links. We have Open Broadcaster software, which is what I'm using right now on James's machine. It's running low on battery. I'm sorry, James. Oh, that'd be great.
Good luck finding a plug. I know, but it's too far.
Oh dear. That is a projector. Nah, don't worry about it. I'm sorry. But Open Broadcaster software is Windows only, unfortunately, but it's a free download that you can use to live stream or record natively to your hard drive. And it took me about 5 minutes to install and set up on this rig right here. And so that was really cool. And there's also Audacity, which is a sound program, just open source, free to download on any machine, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux, and it can record sound right off the fly. And it's very easy. Just if there's a microphone plugged in, it'll detect it, and you'll be good to go in 90% of cases. Then there's also GIMP. GIMP is also open source, platform accessible in all places, and it is like a Photoshop. It is an image editor, and so if you want to create a screenshot Let's Play of some sort, you can do that in GIMP very easily, kind of like you would do a magazine article, where you can like format and do all the text and stuff, like you're doing an expose or something. It's a cool place. But those are like the three main things. Anything outside of there, I have just a huge list of like, hey, I'm on a Mac, what am I gonna do? You have to pay money, which is sucks, and I'd rather find options that don't need that. But once you get off of on the Mac side, it's all money grabs. And so there's nothing quite like Open Broadcaster software that's as easy or as accessible to use, but there are definitely alternatives if you need a Mac. For console games, that's probably the most important, what you guys are really excited about. Console games always require extra hardware to route it to a computer that will record it. And it gets really complicated, and it can get really expensive. I personally have a capture card that I think was like $150, and it's just a like graphics card that I shoved inside of my computer, and it has an HDMI slot in the back, and that's pretty much what it is. It does a lot of other complicated stuff, but even that had its own hijinks, because once I plugged my PlayStation 3 into it, it didn't record anything, because PlayStation 3 has their own encryption technology on their HDMI cards, on their HDMI cable. It is HDCP protected, and I had to work that around. And so now, if I ever want to record a PlayStation 3 game, I have to open the native recorder on that thing. I have to open Fraps. I have my AverMedia thing showing the display, but I can't hit the record button on that, or else it'll be HDCP protected. And I screen grab everything that's on the screen. And that's my way of working around that for any time I need to play PlayStation. Yeah, it's a mess, and it is more of that kind of technological hustle that we have to go through.
Nope, we're dead.
It's dead.
This is still going, but
it happens. We'll see what happens. So yeah, that's that. If you want to hit the next slide, I'm going to give you guys all links to all of that stuff.
Yeah, we've started an article on the wiki that we're going to curate anything Solon suggests there.
Perfect. And it'll be really easy to find anything. I can help you with that, no problem. And if you need more help, just on the technological side, I've been around for so long. I've seen things. Anyway, why Let's Plays are important. They are really the only medium that allows for a curated first-hand play experience to be documented. And I have very specifically curated that line of sentence to embody a lot of ideas. Let's Plays are performative. Let's Plays are documentative. You can have 1 million people all play Skyrim and record their playthrough of Skyrim, and not one of them will be similar to another one necessarily. They will be all different. They're special snowflakes in the sun. And so some people love watching Minecraft playthroughs, even if they don't have mods, if they're just vanilla playthroughs. And that's actually what a lot of my channel has actually kind of tried to explore, is if I'm going to create a Let's Play on a game like Minecraft, how am I going to make it my own in a way that nobody else can make it? And it ended up being really easy, actually. I was Let's Playing from my own personal experiences, and so that came into it. My own culture, my own ideas that really can't be replicated anywhere else. And so that was kind of cool. But the Let's Play is, I feel like, the most vital and human media that we currently have. I don't think there's anything that quite competes with that human experience that you have watching a Let's Play. When you watch someone else's play and you can identify with that because you've been part of this archived experience. It's an engagement with humans, it's an engagement with systems, play, and pop culture all at once that reminds us all that people exist on the other side of the screen. That there are people out there that are also alive and not a machine fed in by a marketing team, but actual people. And so I think that's just a really important part. So when it comes to actually creating a Let's Play and being a Let's Player, I like to think of it as an art form. And I think that really helps because if I want to create a critical experience that engages with other people, to have expression be a main focus point, a main part of that, is really important. And so expression and art go hand in hand. That's why we have things we have things labeled as arts, as the arts, is so that we can provide human expression to them. As I said before, it's a performative medium. I'm doing weird dances and I'm engaging in very specific ways. There's a lot of technologies that we have that enhance that performativity. We add webcams to further humanize our experience with the player and with the audience. We do things like add overlays to our games to show exactly what is happening in the game. People will add death counters. How many times have we died? Someone can click in at like episode 45 and be like, oh, this is the time we had 115 deaths, not 112. So 3 deaths have happened in the middle, and I want to know about that. I have a Pokemon Let's Play that keeps track of all the Pokemon that have died over the course of my Let's Play. It's a weird modification I make on the rules of Pokemon, and many other people do it. It's very fun and engaging. But those are all extra technologies that we add. When we enhance the game, we'll add mods to the game itself to make it a more human experience or have something that's more engaging in a weird way. We will add overlays and webcams for the audience to participate better or to understand where we're coming from better. To even have just facial expression tied to our play is something that's very innately human. That is really cool. I mean, hell, it's why I have blue hair in one way. It's like I wanted to be more engaging with an audience. I wanted to be more performative. And then I also just wanted to feel cool. What do we add to the player? The player, I'll actually add my own rules to games. If I'm feeling saucy or sassy, I'll add things that I will add to enhance my play or enhance my commentary or enhance my experience with the game itself in a weird way. Some people will play with their feet, and that's a technological enhancement to the Let's Play. If you play with your feet, right? Anyway, that's all kind of artistic stuff. That is artistic, even though it's weird or off the wall or entertaining. It's artistic in nature because it's human expression. When it comes to Let's Play, the last point I want to make is that they're inherently reflective and contextual. And those are things that we miss in a lot of other media, especially media that engages itself in irony, is that it loses its own context. Let's Plays are an archived experience of many, many episodes. Northern Lion has a Let's Play of The Binding of Isaac that is 500 episodes long. Probably more, maybe around 600 episodes. And each of those runs of that game are about 45 minutes to an hour and a half. It is more than what is humanly possible to actually consume. And those are all contextual in line. If you watch the first one and you watch the last one, you can tell that there are 600 runs in between of this game that make a difference, that enhance or that change. They create some kind of force within the entire playlist itself. And that because of that, it makes it a reflective experience. And so I think those are very, very important to Let's Playing, and I think that that's something you guys will find almost immediately once you hit record, that when you say something, it's going to be saved forever in your own spaces. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I've got for Let's Plays.
Questions? Go back to the first question that was in the middle.
Yes. So this is all the place to contact me. Now I want to take questions because I think there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of things that we need to settle about. Or making a critical Let's Play, what that means. You had your first question.
Yeah, so does commentary or no commentary count?
If it's a no commentary playthrough of a game, that is a thing that totally exists in a way to manipulate YouTube statistics. There's definitely one channel who has millions of subscribers, is one of the very high popular channels that will take AAA titles on day one as early as possible. They get it just directly shipped to them or downloaded to them, and they will record it as quickly as possible and then upload that recorded footage as quickly as possible, like a machine. I don't think that these individuals are really creating a lot of expression with their content, but it is totally a Let's Play in the way that they are playing it in only a way that they can. And nobody can actually emulate that perfectly in their own way. I was watching someone do a Let's Play, or they call it a Let's Play. They call it a Let's Play walkthrough critique analysis of Bioshock Infinite, and they call it all this because they're trying to milk the YouTube system. It's soulless, and it's not like really the most fun, but I needed help
making
through
a Let's
section.
Play is a game. You have
There's
to game
also
the system. I mean,
that's the YouTube metagame, yeah, and that's what they're playing to. But it totally is a Let's Play. It's just doesn't really say a lot. But it's a great question. I think that's something that Let's Players themselves have to argue with often. Yeah.
What has been your favorite game of the Let's Play?
Favorite game? I've been doing all. Okay,
he's prolific. If you've looked at his channel, he's.
I purposely do like a wide range of content because I want to explore the medium as much as possible. I just got hooked on dating sims. I just have so much fun playing a dating sim and then performing it with other people, having like another person there to like watch me, and it's mostly just reading through the text. But that's where the performativity comes in. I'm like making voices, and I've got all these characters in my head that I'm trying to bounce, and then all the while I'm like stacking up the drama of a dating sim as things get weird, as my boyfriend becomes a demon, and my twin brother that I didn't know existed until just now is trying to murder me and my boyfriend at the same time to get to me. Like, while I'm trying to stack this drama up in my head, I'm trying to balance all these voices and then make like a cohesive decision on, will this decision I make at the end of this game kill my boyfriend, or are we gonna fall in love forever? It's goofy, but I've fallen in love with dating sims. And so, even though those seem like so against what Let's Playing's about, those have just been the most fun to Let's Play. James, you had a question?
Yeah, you talked a little bit about Let's Plays without commentary, but I'm curious what you as somebody who does Let's Play thinks about some of, like, in particular, the more non-conventional Let's Play that I've seen going around a lot, which is Twitch Plays Pokemon.
Twitch Plays Pokemon and other live streams. I think that's a very topical question, very great question. When it comes to things like that, I mean, it comes with the same, what I said the last time I think I had this question come up was that streams and Let's Plays are kind of like squares and rectangles. They can totally be each other. You can have a live stream that is also a Let's Play, or a Let's Play that is also a live stream, and they can navigate in different circles. Obviously, there's live streams that don't even involve games that are hosted on Twitch, which is a place where games are played. And so a lot of live streams that are in themselves Let's Plays contextualize themselves on being very within the moment. And Twitch Plays Pokemon is actually a really great example of that. If you're to watch a reserve or a highlight or some kind of archived version of this, it wouldn't be the same. And that difference, that it's not the same as watching it live, is really important. That doesn't mean it's better or it's worse, it's just a different kind of experience. And I think that archived experience is also very important. So, as you can see, there's a bunch of people there's about 8,800 people all trying to make this Tentacruel fight this Kingdra. And this Tentacruel is named Gijivlififs, which they got to nickname all together, all 8,000 of them at the same time. I don't know if this level 73 Tentacruel is actually going to beat this level 53 Kingdra. But they're going to look through the bag to find out. But yeah, that's a great question. Anyone else have a question? You had a question over here.
Could you maybe mention differences between Twitch and YouTube, and either like the audience interactivity or
Mhm.
monetization and stuff?
Yeah, that's been so. Another part of that ecosystem that I talked about, where like YouTube is God, a lot of Let's Players have actually moved over to Twitch in interesting ways because they're already online playing games. Why not go online and play games over here as well? The beautiful thing about both live streaming and Let's Playing is that they are the only two media that we have that actually involve playing games. When it comes to game media, all the other game media wants to stay far away from actually playing the game. Reviews aren't going to play the game. That would be blasphemous. Game critics and game academics, they don't want to play the game. That'd be ridiculous and messed up. That's too childish, that's too playful. But both Let's Playing and live streaming are like, we're going to play these games, and we're going to show you in two different ways. One that's live and in the moment, and one that's archived forever. And the nice thing about Twitch is that they actually let you archive your stuff for you. So that's actually been really helpful for a lot of people. Who don't necessarily have like the hard disk space on their laptops or computers to save it to themselves, and so they can save it to the Twitch archive and then jump it on over to the YouTube side. Alternatively, people with big audiences will just save themselves a lot of effort by maintaining their Twitch personality and their YouTube personality at the exact same time by turning their Twitch streams into videos on YouTube. And that has interesting connotations because it started as a Twitch stream, and these were created to have this live impact that isn't necessarily saved once you watch the pre-recording of it, or the recording of it on YouTube. And so that's a negotiation that we're still like working on and chewing on, but it's a really interesting, cool one that we get to mix Let's Playing and live streaming together. And the interactions with it are really cool. But it's a great question. Anyone else have any other questions? Also, especially if you guys have any questions about the assignment or working.
Well, wait for that because that's a whole other hour.
Okay.
Not to talk about that. One thing we don't have to deal with the assignment is we don't have to game any algorithms or platforms because we're not worried about getting ad revenue.
Yeah.
With our videos.
Yeah, we can say whatever we want, and we can.
So we don't have to worry about those kinds
pornography
of things.
And gamble with it and do whatever. Sure, Let's Play, make it. Yeah.
Do you think there's ever an issue with like? I mean, I know some friends who they own maybe 2 games and they watch Let's Plays of a bunch of other ones. That it's a harmful thing in any way. Like they're being entertained by this particular play, but sometimes it's the kind of game they don't like to play, but they like to watch a friend play or see a virtual friend play.
Oh yeah, and that's the point of perspective that publishers take, is that Let's Plays are stealing our buyers. That somehow the Let's Play supersedes that. But that's why I contextualize it as an entirely different medium. And that's really important to interpret like that. Because what ends up happening is that a lot of people see these, and these are separate plays of a game. It's like getting a one-dimensional view of an entire matrix. And then they imagine what they could do if they played the game. And so if these were individuals that had the means to buy the game or wanted to buy the game, they would do that now because they'd see the potential. Once they see this one-dimensional view, they're like, I want to see all of this now myself. So there's no competition, really. They don't compete because the people who watch the Let's Plays but don't have the means to purchase the game or obtain it themselves, they don't have the means anyway. And so it kind of feeds everyone, and everyone gets what they're looking for in a really cool way, including the publishers, because they get more sales.
If it ever became a problem anyway, because it seemed to me they were using YouTube people to advertise more or not anymore through by offering them, as you put it,
payola.
Yeah.
Payola.
Well, publishers are actually now like grabbing YouTube people. Disney just bought Maker Studios, which is the biggest juggernaut empire, for $500 million, maybe $900 million, somewhere in there. Absolutely undersold them, but it's kind of a weirdly devastating move. That's going to be interesting for Let's Playing as this rolls out. But yeah, sorry, you've had your hand up forever.
Maybe a technical question about
Do it.
Open video question. Does that record video in any smaller format than Fraps does?
OBS?
Yeah.
Yes, it does, and that's why I suggest it and not Fraps. OBS doesn't have the like stupidly flawless version that Fraps does, but Fraps also records 100 gigs a minute, and that's not helpful. This recording that is now dead, it would be about 2 gigs for an hour, which is much more helpful for you guys. So that's why I recommend that. Anyway, yeah. Thanks guys for hanging out and listening, and
so we'll
interesting.
We're almost, we have like 2 minutes, but so we're gonna have an ongoing discussion about Let's Plays, but one thing to think about. I'm sure there's probably a lot more questions for Solon, and I don't know if he can stay after and hang out or whatever.
Love to. Always do. My office